Have you ever wondered why finding love in later years can be both heartwarming and incredibly challenging? Welcome to today's video, where we dive into the unique journey of love, loneliness, and companionship in retirement. I'm Nguyen Dinh Phuc, 65 years old, retired, and living a quiet life after my wife's passing. Recently, I met a 52-year-old woman for the first time, hoping to find a partner to share my golden years. But her 4 surprising and bold conditions for a relationship made me question everything. Why should you watch until the end? Because this story isn't just about me. It's about understanding the joys and struggles of seeking love at an older age. It's about the growing trend of elderly dating, the deep reasons behind remarriage, and the lessons we can all learn about human connection, trust, and sincerity. Stay with us as we uncover not only my experience but also the broader realities of finding companionship later in life. Before we begin, I would appreciate it if you like this video. You can help me continue to spread the old age lesson. If you haven't subscribed yet, I recommend you subscribe and turn on the bell so you don't miss any videos. If you like this video, please comment number 1. If you don't like it, comment number 0 to let me know, so I can make a better video for you. Now let's get started. Welcome, everyone, to this unique stage of life where companionship takes on a special meaning. Allow me to introduce myself. My name is Nguyen Dinh Phuc. I am 65 years old, retired for 5 years now, and adjusting to life as it has unfolded in my later years. Just recently, I had an interesting encounter with a 52-year-old woman for the first time. It was an eventful meeting, to say the least, as she presented me with 4 unexpected requests that left me feeling overwhelmed. So much so that I felt compelled to step back and reassess the situation. Let me share a bit more about my story. At 65, I receive a pension of just over 9 million dong each month. I live alone in a comfortable 3-bedroom apartment equipped with an elevator in a bustling residential area. My only daughter, who is happily married, lives in a different city, far from my current home. Tragically, my wife passed away more than 3 years ago. Since then, life has become unbearably quiet, and the loneliness of living alone has often been difficult to bear. With every passing day, I have found myself yearning for a life partner. Someone who could share in the joys and challenges of life's final chapter, offering mutual care, respect, and understanding. With this desire in my heart, I decided to take a small but meaningful step toward finding companionship. I shared my thoughts with the building manager of my apartment complex, hoping she might know of someone who, like me, was seeking a genuine connection. To my surprise, it wasn't long before she returned with hopeful news. She told me there was indeed a resident within the building who seemed suitable. This woman, 13 years younger than me, had retired 2 years ago and, according to the manager, was open to meeting me. Encouraged by this possibility, I agreed to meet her. On the day of our meeting, I felt a mix of excitement and nerves coursing through me. I carefully chose my favorite outfit, wanting to make a good impression, and even dyed my hair to add a youthful touch to my appearance. As the agreed-upon time approached, I made my way to the small park near our building where we had planned to meet. Arriving early, I paced back and forth, rehearsing what I might say, feeling a flutter of nervous energy. After what felt like an eternity, she finally arrived, accompanied by the building manager. From a distance, I could see she was an attractive woman with a composed demeanor. After the introductions, the building manager left us to talk privately. The woman introduced herself as Min Noyet, a 52-year-old retired employee who receives a monthly pension of just over 7 million dong. She shared that she has 1 unmarried son and that she has been divorced for more than 10 years. I, in turn, gave her a brief overview of my life and circumstances. To my surprise, she quickly suggested that if we were mutually satisfied after our conversation, we could visit my home to continue getting to know one another better. She added that if everything felt right, she would like to move in quickly. Her forwardness caught me off guard. Before I could even process her suggestion, she gently grabbed my hand and said, "Let's go to your house first and then stop by the supermarket to pick up some ingredients. I'll cook something nice for you." Startled by her boldness, I quickly withdrew my hand, feeling both surprised and slightly uneasy. I politely suggested, "Why don't we sit here in the park and talk a bit more before making any plans?" Realizing she might have come across as too assertive, she let go of my hand and nodded, looking a little embarrassed. As we settled into a more relaxed conversation, she shifted gears and asked me directly, Okay then, you go first. What are your expectations or requirements for a life partner? If they seem reasonable, I'll share mine too. I appreciated her candid approach and decided to be equally straightforward. I told her that I was looking for someone with a certain level of knowledge and maturity, someone who could make a good impression in social settings and who understood the importance of mutual respect and emotional connection. I also mentioned my concern about our age gap, explaining that it might pose challenges in terms of sharing similar perspectives and experiences. She listened attentively, her eyes twinkling with amusement, and after a brief pause, she laughed heartily. "Why not me?" she asked with a playful smile. I hesitated, unsure how to respond, and reiterated that while she seemed like a kind and capable woman, the age difference gave me pause. To my surprise, she countered with a genuine smile and said, "You're the first honest man I've met in these situations. I like your type, and I'm willing to live together, or even get married, if you agree to my conditions." Intrigued but cautious, I asked her to elaborate. Min Noyet gracefully crossed her legs, leaned slightly forward, and began outlining her 4 conditions, each one spoken with sincerity and careful thought. She explained that her first condition was about building trust and ensuring mutual commitment. If we decided to live together after a trial period of 6 months, she requested that I sign an agreement providing her with 50 million dong as a trust fund. She explained that this money would symbolize my sincerity and give her a sense of security. If, after 6 months, either of us felt unhappy or incompatible, she promised to return a portion of the money based on the time we spent living together, ensuring a peaceful parting. If you are still watching this video and finding these lessons useful, please comment number 1 below to let me know that you are still watching this video with me. Thank you for your valuable time. The second requirement she laid out was, considering our age, she wanted us to embark on a special trip together. Her dream was to visit a picturesque, southern, cloud-covered land for an extended stay and have a wedding photo shoot during the journey. She was adamant that this trip should last no less than a month, emphasizing that it would provide us with ample time to relax, bond, and create unforgettable memories. However, there was one non-negotiable condition. All the expenses for the trip had to be entirely covered by me. She tried to reassure me by claiming she would be an excellent travel companion, promising to take good care of me throughout the journey. She assured me that she would go above and beyond to make me feel comfortable, supported, and at ease during our travels. If I felt the financial burden of the trip was too great, she graciously offered to compromise by agreeing to a shorter trip, but the wedding photo shoot remained non-negotiable. She emphasized that having these photos had been her lifelong dream, one she had nurtured ever since she was a young girl. Although I had faced my fair share of challenges in life and considered myself experienced, I found myself genuinely overwhelmed by the enormity of her requests. The 52-year-old woman sitting in front of me came across as unexpectedly childish and overly demanding. At first, I felt a strong urge to simply stand up and walk out of the conversation, but the thought of having to explain such a hasty exit to the building manager stopped me. Reluctantly, I chose to remain seated, listening patiently to what else she had to say. Min Noyet, perhaps sensing the subtle impatience in my demeanor, paused and asked directly if I wanted to hear more. Her question caught me off guard. Not wanting to appear rude, I forced a tight smile and gave a small nod, signaling her to continue. Her third request was no less surprising. She stated that if we decided to live together, she would only agree to do so for 6 months before she expected us to officially register for marriage. However, there was a significant caveat. Once married, she expected to become the undisputed boss of the household. This role, as she explained it, involved me handing over my salary card to her, relinquishing full control of my finances. She added that she would personally manage the family budget, issuing me a fixed monthly allowance to cover my expenses. Any spending beyond this predetermined limit would result in penalties. Specifically, I would be required to perform household chores as a form of discipline. Listening to this, I couldn't help but feel as though I were being transported into the whimsical demands of a child playing a make-believe game of family. It felt entirely unsuitable and out of place, especially coming from someone who had presumably lived through so many of life's highs and lows. Her fourth request was even more peculiar. She explained that since she had been divorced for over a decade and had grown accustomed to living and sleeping alone, she wanted us to maintain that arrangement even after marriage. Whether during our cohabitation period or as a married couple, she insisted that we sleep in separate rooms, on separate beds, to avoid disrupting one another's routines or personal space. As she reached the end of her detailed list of demands, Min Noyet took a moment to highlight what she saw as her redeeming qualities. She confidently assured me that if she were to move in with me, she would take full responsibility for all the household chores, especially during holiday gatherings when the home would need to shine its brightest. She described how she would cook lavish, mouth-watering meals for family and guests, promising to make such an impression that I wouldn't even consider leaving the house. She seemed to pride herself on her self-proclaimed ability to win a man's heart through his stomach. With an air of confidence, she even compared herself to a timeless flower, one that would never wilt or fade, while listing her culinary talents and homemaking skills as her strongest attributes. At that moment, I found myself caught between disbelief and fascination. It was almost surreal to encounter a woman with such specific, and in many ways, outdated expectations in today's world. Her unique blend of self-assuredness and exacting demands began to explain why she had been divorced for over 10 years and still lived alone. Despite my inner turmoil, I chose not to voice any criticism or comment on her condition. I figured it was best to respond with politeness and tact. Summoning all the composure I could muster, I simply told her that I wasn't in a position to meet her demands. Then, feigning a sudden excuse, I excused myself and rose to leave. I walked away quickly, fearing that if I hesitated even for a moment, she might seize the opportunity to ask further questions or prolong the conversation, leading to an awkward and uncomfortable situation for both of us. When it comes to seeking a life partner, regardless of gender, I firmly believe that sincerity and kindness are the two most important qualities to look for. Without these, no amount of physical beauty or youth can compensate. Even the most attractive woman becomes little more than a superficial ornament, and potentially a burden. Recognizing this, I resolved that if I couldn't find a partner who truly embodied these traits, I would rather face the solitude of singlehood than subject myself to a lifetime of uncertainty, conflict, and unhappiness. This brings us to an intriguing societal shift. Why are so many older people choosing to remarry? It's a phenomenon that warrants deeper thought. In recent years, the popularity of dating shows aimed at older adults has surged, driven by programs like Late Love and Ever Too Late. This television hit captivated audiences by showcasing mature individuals navigating the dating world with directness and refreshing honesty. Particularly striking are the bold and forthright comments made by older women. Phrases like, "not my type" or "not trustworthy" resonate with viewers for their unvarnished candor. Meanwhile, the pragmatic, calculated approach of older men has added a fascinating dynamic to these interactions, creating memorable scenes that have gone viral online. Audiences remain captivated by these programs, eager to see how older individuals approach love and companionship. But why is this so compelling? It may be because older people, having weathered the storms of life and often endured failed or regretful marriages, approach relationships with clarity and wisdom born of experience. Their confidence and straightforwardness in expressing what they want, or don't want, in a partner are strikingly different from the more tentative approaches of the younger generation. For them, dating in later life is less about exploration and more about finding meaningful connections that truly meet their needs. The phrase, "the older, the wiser," feels particularly apt in this context. Yet beneath the humor, charm, and optimism of these shows lies a sobering reality about the lives of the elderly. According to data from the 7th National Census in Vietnam, the elderly population has grown to over 16.1 million people. Alarmingly, nearly 1 million of them live separately from their families. Among these, close to 500,000 have lost their spouses, either through divorce or death. This separation, compounded by the absence of a life partner, underscores the growing sense of isolation and loneliness experienced by many elderly individuals. Tran Thursday Lan, an editor for the dating program Duyan Muon Chong Muon, Late Love is Still Love, shared her insights. Many elderly people today feel a deep loneliness because their children live far away and are unable to provide regular companionship. Participants in the program often share heartbreaking stories of life's hardships: losing jobs in midlife, enduring the pain of divorce, battling serious illnesses, or confronting their mortality. Despite these challenges, most have achieved financial independence. However, in this era of technological connectivity, many elderly individuals are now choosing to remarry, seeking companionship and emotional support. The motivations behind this trend are complex and merit closer reflection. If you are still watching this video and finding these lessons useful, please comment number 2 below to let me know that you are still watching this video with me. Thank you for your valuable time. At times, however, the search for a partner exposes underlying frustrations and unspoken expectations. Take, for example, the story of Hoa, a 62-year-old participant in a senior dating program. When asked about her ideal partner, Hoa initially described her criteria as simple. She wanted someone with a good personality who didn't smoke. Based on her preferences, the program matched her with Ben, a 63-year-old retired mechanical factory worker. Ben, who had been widowed 3 years earlier, lived with his son and daughter-in-law and received a pension of 6 million VND per month. Lonely since his wife's passing, he joined the program hoping to find someone to share his remaining years. At first, he and Hoa appeared to be a good match, engaging in pleasant conversations and showing genuine interest in each other's lives. But as they got to know each other better, the dynamic shifted dramatically. Hoa began making demands that took Ben by surprise. She asked him to buy her a pair of gold earrings worth 15 million VND and a gold bracelet costing an additional 5 million VND. Furthermore, she insisted that he allocate half of his monthly pension to her. Ben, understandably taken aback, felt the situation had escalated far beyond his expectations. "This isn't a wedding ceremony," he said, clearly frustrated. "Why are you making such demands so soon?" Netizens who followed their story were equally baffled, with many expressing sympathy for Ben. Comments flooded in, with people saying, "This is supposed to be dating, not a transaction," and "How can anyone make such requests at the very beginning of a relationship?" Stories like this, while entertaining on the surface, reveal the complexities and challenges of late-life dating. They highlight the hopes, vulnerabilities, and sometimes the misaligned expectations that older individuals bring into their pursuit of companionship. These interactions remind us that love and relationships, no matter the stage of life, remain deeply influenced by the human need for understanding, respect, and genuine connection. Hoa's story tugs at the heartstrings of anyone who learns about her past. Her life has been a testament to resilience in the face of profound emotional pain. Her 2 failed marriages left her with scars that ran deep, each one adding layers of hurt and hardship to her already challenging life. Hoa's first marriage was to a man who battled alcoholism, a struggle that often manifested in violence and rage. 4 years, she endured his abuse in silence, unable to change him or escape the cycle of pain. The toll on her was immense. At one point, she sank into a deep depression. Despite her immense patience and perseverance, her husband's behavior showed no signs of improvement. With an 8-year-old daughter depending on her, Hoa felt trapped. She couldn't leave him because her child needed stability and care. She bore the brunt of his actions until her daughter grew older and more independent. Only then, after years of suffering, did Hoa find the strength to file for divorce. She believed that the ordeal had taught her to choose partners more wisely, but fate had other plans. Her second marriage, which began with hope, turned out to be even more devastating. Her new husband was 4 years her junior and seemed, at first, to be a kind and genuine man. However, after the birth of their son, his true nature began to emerge. Hoa discovered his laziness, his refusal to contribute financially, and his string of infidelities. While she worked tirelessly to provide for the family, he spent money frivolously and sought comfort in the arms of other women. Once again, Hoa tried to salvage the relationship for the sake of her son. But her efforts were in vain. One day, her husband walked out, leaving behind nothing but a letter. The emotional toll of his abandonment was crushing, and it took her 3 long years to rebuild her life and heal her wounds. As Hoa entered her later years, the lessons from her painful past shaped her perspective on love and relationships. Her youth had been marked by unyielding devotion to men who did not deserve her kindness. She had poured her heart and soul into building lives with partners who took her sacrifices for granted. The saying, "One falls, one grows wiser," resonated deeply with her. Now, when faced with the possibility of finding a new partner, Hoa could no longer ignore the need to set boundaries and expectations. What might seem excessive demands to others were, to her, safeguards born from hard-earned wisdom. Hoa's experience mirrors that of many elderly women navigating the dating world. These women, once full of hope and trust, had given everything to build families, only to have their faith shattered by unfaithful or irresponsible partners. Over time, the repeated emotional damage stripped away their sense of security. Acts that once symbolized love now felt like transactions born of necessity. Behind every seemingly unreasonable demand lay an unspoken pain, the remnants of past betrayals and disappointments. If you are still watching this video and finding these lessons useful, please comment number 3 below to let me know that you are still watching this video with me. Thank you for your valuable time. Living more than half a lifetime often means carrying the weight of mistakes and naivety. For older adults, setting boundaries in relationships isn't the real issue. It's suppressing their frustrations and unresolved pain that poses the greatest challenge. To truly find happiness, honesty about practical concerns is essential from the very beginning. Psychologist Erik Erikson once said that reflecting on life with a sense of meaning and fulfillment is the key to facing old age with peace and contentment. For elderly individuals, the desire for love and companionship isn't just about emotional connection. It's about cherishing the time they have left. As people age, the need for meaningful relationships often grows stronger, not weaker. Companionship becomes an anchor against the loneliness that can feel unbearable. One touching story from the program Late Fate illustrates this beautifully. It featured an elderly man who had devoted 5 years of his life to caring for his wife after she suffered a debilitating stroke. Tragically, she passed away, leaving him heartbroken and alone. Just 23 days after her passing, he decided to join the dating program. His reason was simple yet profound. He couldn't bear the loneliness. On the show, he met a woman who had been widowed for 23 years. She shared that the length of her loneliness, whether 23 days or 23 years, felt the same. While he had endured the physical and emotional challenges of caregiving, it was the inner void of solitude that he could not overcome. In the end, the two formed a bond, holding hands as they promised to face the future together. The next morning, they shared a simple breakfast on camera, their smiles radiating warmth and hope. Their story touched countless viewers, reminding everyone of the universal longing for connection and the simple joys of companionship. Isn't this the happiness we all seek in life? Adult life is rife with uncertainties and challenges. No one can guarantee that a current partner will journey with them through life's entirety. Holding hands and sharing life's ups and downs is a cherished dream, but even when that is impossible, finding someone to walk alongside for a while is a wise and beautiful choice. A report from Life magazine highlighted the poignant words of an elderly man who participated in a dating program. He admitted that as he aged, his loneliness deepened, isolating him from society. His words echoed the sentiment of poet John Donne, "No man is an island." The elderly who seek partners, whether through dating programs or personal connections, are often driven by this inescapable loneliness. If your parents or elderly loved ones express a desire for companionship, take the time to understand their needs. Their lives belong to them, and their emotional desires are just as valid as anyone else's, regardless of age. Supporting their journey toward happiness in their later years is not only an act of love but also a profound way to show respect for their humanity. As we wrap up, take a moment to reflect on what you've learned from this video. What key lesson or insight stood out to you the most? We'd love to hear your thoughts. Please share one thing you've learned and plan to bring into practice in your life in the comments below. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to leave your comments, like, share, and subscribe to our YouTube channel for more inspiring content. Your support helps us continue sharing messages of hope and encouragement. See you in the next video.